right, here we are. Welcome to the Cherish Each Moment Podcast. Thank you for being here. Wherever you are, wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching. I guess the only place to watch is on YouTube, but thank you for being here. And thank you for tuning in to my new podcast. I'm excited to give this a try, and I'm excited to have another outlet to just talk about what I'm doing and to provide, a little bit more context over the things that I'm doing out in the lawn every week. I'm going to try and make this a weekly thing. I know that as I get more and more into the season, the busier I'm going to get. If it was anything like last year, I don't know how I'm going to do this every week. So I'm going to do it as much as I can. And hopefully this will just be a new way for me to interact with you guys, those that follow me and those that are watching what I'm doing in my yard, just to get a little bit more information, a little more context, kind of a new platform for me to talk about things that are on my mind, stuff like that. All the things that a podcast is really for. So that's the idea, and that's what I'm really excited to do. There's a lot going on in the lawn care community and the DIY community, and all things considered, there's a lot of exciting things going on over in my neck of the woods, and I'm excited for a lot of things this season. And rather than only being able to talk about it on my YouTube channel, or at least for those of you watching on YouTube, this is going to have its own YouTube channel. So my main YouTube channel, I think having this platform here will kind of allow me to talk about things that wouldn't necessarily fit into the video or make the final edit, stuff like that. So I want this also to be something where I can interact with everybody, and I want to know what you guys are doing in your lawn as well. So please feel free to email me, jimmy@jimmylewismows.com, and connect with me. Tell me what's going on in your lawn. Tell me what things you're struggling with. Tell me what things you're excited about, projects you're working on, renovations you're planning on doing, stuff like that. I'm really anxious to hear everything that's going on and, kind of what's happening out there. Not everybody has the same schedule as I do. Not everybody has the same grass that I do. Not everybody mows the same way I do. And those are all different things that can be discussed here and can be talked about. So shoot me an email, and I plan to incorporate those emails and everything else that I get into future episodes, just to kind of provide a little more content and context, all that good stuff. So I'm really excited about this. I hope to even in the future have guests or co-hosts. I don't have any intention of filming these live. I don't have the talent to be able to do that like some of the guys do and girls that do this in the community. And I also don't have the equipment to do it. I'm very bare bones, which is kind of funny because I'm normally the techie one in my family, and I'm trying to keep this as bare bones as possible. We'll just kind of see how it goes. But elephant in the room, for those of you watching on the YouTube, you can see I've got a new addition to my little setup here at my desk, and I'm really excited to have this. This is a new 3-foot by 5-foot banner. There's one hanging in my garage, and there's soon to be one hanging somewhere else in this country. And for those of you that know, and I'm excited to share that later on, where that's going and where that's going to be hanging out. Right now it's rolled up in a box in the garage, and soon it's going to be folded up in a suitcase and on a plane. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later on, kind of what's coming. The next week is going to be a busy one and should be tons of fun. But as far as the structure of the podcast goes, I want to start with what I did and what's going on around here. My 2021 season is officially underway, and anybody that knows me knows that I've just been itching to get outside, start in the lawn, and, just kick things off, get that grass green again, put some stripes out there. And there is a little green out there, and there are stripes in the front yard. I will tell you that. Stripes have been restored. So that's kind of where I was at this weekend. I spent a few hours on Saturday in the lawn, and I really just kind of focused on planning and even having a backup plan in one case. Obviously, those of you that have been following my channel know that I have an area in my front yard that has a sort of kidney bean shaped flower bed. There's a weeping cherry tree in there that blossoms early spring. That's just beautiful. There's some perennials in there. There's tulips. There's irises. We'll throw some annuals in there as well. But over the last couple of years, it's just gotten really neglected. And I take a lot of the blame for it just because I'm out there all the time. I see everything that's going on in the lawn. And there just became this invasion, and only in this garden bed, mind you, an invasion of Johnson grass. And at first I would just kind of pull it out as I saw it. But then I quickly realized that this was growing beneath the soil, rhizominous growth laterally underneath the soil, shooting up new leaves and growth from the root system, just like how bluegrass grows, or other rhizominous turf, St. Augustine, Bermuda, stuff like that. And it just went nuts. I couldn't keep up with it anymore. And I felt like the more I pulled it out, the faster it grew, which is probably true. That probably makes sense. But in the this past fall, I decided I was going to nip it in the bud and just do whatever it took to get it out of there. And I started with a selective herbicide. I can't remember what it was. I'd have to go in the garage and look, but that didn't do anything. And I just got to my wit's end. I got impatient. I wanted to make sure that I got it out of there before things started getting cold, things started freezing, and I decided just to go really hard and do a generous application of glyphosate. Now, I had to be very careful, and time will tell how careful I was around this weeping cherry tree, but we'll see. Once we start warming up here in the next few weeks or so, if that's still alive or if we need to replace it. But very careful. I had a piece of cardboard out there with me to prevent any drift or overspray into the lawn. And I just soaked the undesirables with glyphosate. So a few days go by. I start seeing some reaction. I start seeing results. And eventually this stuff is just nuked. It is gone, as you would expect from a glyphosate application. So that made me really happy. And then all of a sudden, I of course am still watering the lawn, taking care of the grass. It's not quite ready to, let it be for winter yet. Well, all the water from the sprinklers washed that glyphosate down into the flower bed and out towards the street, which is only maybe 3 feet, maybe 4 feet in some places, from the edge of that flower bed to the sidewalk next to the road. And there is a very nice, obvious path, that water took, and the glyphosate with it, because it killed that area of grass, and just, what you would expect from glyphosate. Very, very sad feeling, thinking that I just was a complete idiot and didn't think that through and give that glyphosate a completely enough time to dry. So yeah, it is what it is at this point. So I think that there's something obviously to learn from that. Be careful when you're using non-selective herbicides. Obviously, wear your PPE and all that good stuff, and make sure that you are not overspraying and stuff like that. Sorry, I'm trying to keep my computer from going to sleep. Those of you that are wondering why I stopped talking for a second. But yeah, I'm trying to keep my computer from going to sleep so I can see my notes and see what's going on here and stay on task. But anyways, to bring the story home here, I decided that I was going to overseed that area before the first snowfall came, or, typically we get decent amount of snow. This year we didn't get as much snow as we hoped for. And we got some rain events too. So all of that moisture, the idea is that you put the seed down, all of that moisture pushes all of that seed down into the soil. Once things start warming up again, there's still moisture in the soil coming out of winter. Temperatures start rising, seeds germinate and grow. And over time they'll start filling in. So that's the idea there, and we did get some snow. It didn't stick around enough to really sit on top of the seed, but I didn't really see any birds out there or anything getting after it. But yeah, my hope is that would give me at least a good jump start in filling in that area. And I ended up doing it in a couple of spots in that front yard, and eventually just kind of scattered some seed throughout, did a little bit of overseeding, I guess you could say, very, very minor overseeding. I don't even know if I'd consider it an official overseed, but it was with the same grass seed that's already there. I haven't put a new blend from anybody in that lawn. It's all been the same stuff from a local distributor, and yeah. So fast forward to today, I went outside to bring in the garbage cans, and I noticed in that area it was a little bit greener than normal. I saw some green in the dead space, just a very subtle shade, enough to catch my attention, kind of do a double take. And I got over there as quick as I could, got down on the ground, started peeking in there, and lo and behold, there's some new grass growing up through there, nice and strong, nice and healthy. And it was just a beautiful sight to see. And I went inside after bringing in the garbage cans, told my wife, did a little happy dance. And yeah, so we're on to something, folks. I think that is a good start to the season. And that, you could say, is only on day 3 of the season. Day 1 was Saturday. Today's Monday. So on Saturday, anyways, I was planning on what else I could do for that area to just make sure I'm doing everything I can to have success. And I decided that I am going to take a few plugs from another area of the front lawn. Probably just some 4-inch plugs, and transfer those plugs and replace some of that dead area. That way I have new grass seed growing and plugs growing and spreading as I mow, water, fertilize, do all the regular things. And I think that should really help fill it in faster. It will bring in some fresh green color so it doesn't look dead longer. And I think that would really kind of help the process along. So that was the idea there. I thought about that, considered that, started planning on doing that. I don't think it's quite ready yet. I want to have the grass growing actively before I do that. But it is in the plan. And I decided that on Saturday, after I, went outside, looked at it, thought about it, considered it, I'm going to do it, and I'm just not going to do it yet. So it's in the plan. So stay tuned for that and an update on how that goes. That will be fun to watch, I think, during the season. I've never plugged before, so that will be a fun experience to try out. Another thing I did was I got the first mow in, and it was only on the front yard. I haven't done the back yet. I'm going to do the back this week, I think. But the front yard, brought the Greensmaster 1600 out, checked the reel of the bed knife, still got a nice clean cut, and threw some gas in there, started her up, and went to town. So really nice to clean up the lawn. Obviously, there's a ton of debris on the lawn For those of you that are real mowing, make sure that you clear off the lawn before you start. That way no rocks or pebbles or pieces of mulch anything that can get caught between the reel and the bed knife, you want to make sure it's out of the way. Even sometimes I found after I took the leaf blower across the entire lawn, blew everything off the best I could, I found that even as I was mowing, there was still stuff going on, stuff that I needed to pick up. So, but good to mow and good to get that top layer off, kind of even things out. You don't realize how shaggy the lawn is until after you mow and you see how clean it looks. Man, it just looks good. And there's stripes back in the lawn, and that was just a sight to see. So lots and lots of good things happening with the lawn. A lot more clippings came out of there than I thought. I'm still keeping the height of cut at 3/4 of an inch. So that will be where it stays this year. I can't really go much lower just because obviously putting sand down helps in some areas, but there's still some areas that really don't come through on camera how unsmooth or uneven they are. And if I were to go much lower than where it's at right now, I would just have scalp marks all over the place, and I just don't want that. But 3/4 of an inch is a great height of cut. I'm really loving it, and I have no complaints. I'm really excited to continue thickening things up this year and just getting everything looking pristine. One other thing that I did this past week, this was actually before Saturday, so obviously my stories and my recap of what went on is not really in chronological order, but hey, that's all right. It's really about just kind of reviewing the events and the things that happened and just kind of talking about them. So not a big deal, but I did get to the store and buy my pre-emergent so that it's ready to go. I've been keeping a close eye on the soil temperatures. I am one to not rely on an app. I do look at the Greencast tool online every once in a while, but I really think the best way to know what your soil temperature is to take your soil temperature. And that's what I do. I have a meat thermometer that I keep in the garage in my toolbox, and I take it out, stick it in the ground, and see what we're doing. And we're getting into mid 40s, low to mid 40s still, so there's still some time. But I did feel like I should at least have the pre-emergent ready to go in the garage, and so I did do that. My local Lowe's is carrying Lesco products this year, and the Lesco 007, the Stonewall pre-emergent, it's like 61% prodiamine, pretty hefty amount of prodiamine, it seemed like. My local Lowe's is carrying it, so $26 for a 50-pound bag. I couldn't say no to that. Of course, I have used both Yard Mastery pre-emergent products, the Dithiopyr, the prodiamine, and the Sunnyland, the new water dispersible granular, which is really cool. But I am only going to be putting the pre-emergent product down in the backyard because of the overseed and the dormant seeding that I did in the front. So the front's not going to get the pre-emergent until a little later. So when it's time to do that second round of pre-emergent, June, July, whenever that ends up being, I'll put some down in the front yard. Just in case, and won't hurt anything. And I like that these products have the potassium in it, which according to my last soil test, I was deficient in potassium. So excited to have that. I was probably the first one to buy this from my Lowe's store. It was on a pallet and it was up on the shelf, and I made those guys go get that forklift and get it down for me, which is kind of fun. But that's a pretty good deal, $26 for a 50-pound bag. So if you're willing to go make the trip to the store and check it out, check your local Lowe's and see if you can get yourself some pre-emergent there. If not, definitely go for the prodiamine or the dithiopyr, whatever your flavor is. You can pick those up from Yard Mastery, no problem. And of course, I'll leave links for you in show notes, description, however these podcasts work. Obviously on YouTube, there's the description, but I don't know enough about the podcast world yet to know where to put all that stuff. So we'll find out pretty soon, I'm sure, as I learn to navigate this new world. But yeah, I did get my pre-emergent. And as I mentioned before, I did take some soil samples on Saturday while I was out and about. I am using the Yard Mastery test kit, so that's obviously the MySoil test kit. They've got the what is it called? The resin ball inside the resin capsule. I really think that's pretty cool technology. I enjoyed listening to Alan's podcast, his interview with the guys from MySoil. I thought that was very informative and very educational. And just, it's better to understand how things work. Obviously, you don't want to keep doing things in ignorance just to do them and say you did them. You want to know how it works and why it works. And it just gives you a better understanding, and it just makes things easier when you know what you're doing. But if anything, it's for the sake of continuity between my previous soil tests, which used the same testing strategy and testing method. I'm using this one too. I'm excited to get the results to see if any of the things that I've done over the past year plus have worked. I've done a couple applications of elemental sulfur. I've pulled way back on the phosphorus inputs. I've completely stopped using Milorganite. I've done videos around that and have done write-ups on that. And I want to see if it's working. I want to see if my potassium levels have increased. I was deficient in iron, and I've been pumping iron into the lawn. So lots of changes I'm hoping to see in the soil test results that I get back. So time will tell, and there will be a video around that, and then I'll be able to really pick out what products I'm going to be using throughout the season. So lots of exciting things coming up here. Should expect those results in the next few days. But yeah, that's everything that I did on Saturday. At least that was lawn related. I'm not sure you want to hear about me cleaning out the van and detailing the van because I've got messy kids. But that's what went on in the lawn, and it was a good day. I will say the last thing I'll say about the soil test is I know I mentioned that I'm excited to see the results on paper, on the graph and the chart and all that stuff. But one thing I did notice when I pulled out the soil and I was kind of, mixing all the samples together and everything, preparing to send it off, the soil looked and felt better. And I don't know if that's just me being crazy or being nerdy, but here the soil, you can tell it's just nasty clay, thick clay soil. It's hard to work with. It's even hard to penetrate with a soil probe. But using the MySoil soil probe and pulling out this soil, looking at it, handling it, it just felt like better quality soil. It didn't feel like that complete clay. It felt like more of a topsoil. And at least to me and my impressions of that experience, it feels like the things I'm doing are working. And I think that's something that needs to be accounted for when we go through our programs and execute our strategies. If it looks better, that's a win. If you can notice results like that, that's a win, that's a positive, and those should be acknowledged. So I did want to acknowledge that and put it on the record that the soil did look and feel better, and it felt like better quality. So that was really cool, and I can't help but attribute that to all the products I've been using, especially the micronutrients and the biostimulants, all of the extra goodies that we incorporate into the strategy. So that's one thing that actually I didn't end up mentioning in my video. I kind of forgot to touch on that, almost like I forgot to touch on it here. So wanted to make sure I put that out there for you. That's one thing you can do when you're taking your soil sample is inspect the soil and see if it looks better than the last time you looked at it. So pretty cool. All right, time for the final segment of the episode today. Just want to talk about what's coming up, what I'm looking forward to, and what's in the plans for my lawn and for the main YouTube channel, all that stuff. Lots to look forward to. It's going to be a really exciting year. I've got some things that aren't officially planned yet and some things that are already planned and things that are in motion and lots of cool things. So obviously, if you haven't heard, I have been extremely busy over the off season. I completely gutted my website, redid my website from the ground up. There's now a store in there. You can actually purchase things. We start with what we have and build our way up. And when I first started my website, I had it set up in a way that if you wanted to buy merchandise from me, like stickers or hats or t-shirts, I didn't even sell hats, but I had t-shirts. You had to email me and then you had to take a separate link to pay me through PayPal. And that just obviously isn't ideal. But I am set up now online with a real store, real shopping experience like you're used to with any other website. Everything is there. I've got hats. I'm wearing one right here for those of you watching. You can see that. New hats, they're great. For those of you that know your hats, these are Richardson 112s. This is like the trucker style hat. It's got the mesh in the back. It's adjustable. Super comfortable. Breathes really nice, so it's great for the lawn mowing season when you're outside. You don't want a hat that's just going to soak up in sweat and all that nastiness. It's going to breathe. It's lightweight, comfortable, and I think the design turned out really, really well. It says "Cherish Each Moment" on the front of it. Another addition to the website, I do have a PDF strategy guidebook. I don't know if I call it a guide. It's just a book of my strategies and what I think about and opinions on things. For the lawn, that's on sale now on my website and available for you to download immediately after you purchase it. And then, of course, I am selling my Quick Connect kits for the lawn stripers. So if you have a Big League Lawns lawn striping kit, or if you made your own and you want to have a quick connect for it, those are available on my website, and those are selling like crazy. So thank you to everybody that has purchased one of those. I hope you're enjoying them, and I hope that you find a lot of enjoyment and convenience out of those this season. I do make each and every single one of those by hand. I cut the metal, I shape the brackets, I drill them all out, clean them up. I do all the things for those myself, and I actually kind of enjoy it. It's kind of fun. But yeah, those have been a really fun experience for me, a good learning experience for a lot of things. I have 2 new shirt designs that are on the website now as well, so go ahead and check those out. Pick yourself a shirt, hat, anything you want on there, and I'll get it sent out to you. And all of that, I'll just have you know, goes right back into the channel so that I can get some new products to try out or make new content just to make things better around here. So been super, super fun for me to do that. So yeah, that was a huge project that kept me busy through the off season, was updating the website, writing the ebook, finishing up the ebook. I started writing the ebook through the season. Towards the end of the season, I started writing it and just launched it about a month or so ago. So pretty exciting stuff around here. I am going to be putting down my pre-emergent application pretty soon. I've talked about that. Excuse me. I'm trying this new Mountain Dew. Major Melon. And yeah, it makes me burp. I don't know if I like that. The flavor's pretty good. It's growing on me, but it makes me burp. Anyways, tangent over. Pre-emergent's going down. Plug in the front yard. That's going to happen. Probably going to give it a splash of the Humic and the RGS just to kind of kick it into gear, get the roots nice and happy. And I'm going to be traveling. I am headed out to Florida this weekend. I don't know when this is going to hit the YouTubes or the podcast channels, but I am on my way to Florida on Friday. I am headed out to hang out with Mr. Allen, the lawn care nut. I'm going to hang out with Brett Goodyear. I'm going to go tour the Yard Mastery headquarters, the new warehouse. I'm going to go check that out. I'm going to go take a banner up there to hang on the wall. Got a banner for those guys so they can always remember to cherish the moments up there. And I'm going to go fishing. We're going to take a little fishing excursion, and it's going to be a blast. It's going to be very, very busy and going to be very, very fun. Really looking forward to that. Been looking forward to that trip for a long, long time, and I'm sure I'll take some time to explain all of that here pretty soon. But yeah, that's coming up, and got some collaborations planned outside of that as well when I get back, and some other trips lightly planned in the future. So lots to look forward to, and hopefully I'll be able to keep up on this podcast and keep you guys up to date on what's going on, give you a little more backstories. If you like this, let me know. Shoot me an email, leave me comments, however you want to do it. Let me know what you think. Anything else you want me to include in the structure of the podcast, how I outline things, different segments you want me to do, things you want me to touch on, talk about, all that stuff, let me know. Shoot me an email, and I think it'll be a lot of fun to do that. And of course, let me know what your highlights in the lawn this week were as well. Just email me and tell me all about it, and I'll be happy to share some of those in future episodes. So that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, listening, however you do it, and remember to cherish those moments, and I'll talk to you next time.